Hey everybody, today we're going to talk chainsaws again because it is the season for cutting wood. I know I'm getting ready to start doing a lot of cutting and splitting, and so I thought what better video than to talk about what is my least favorite saw in my lineup. This is the Stihl MS 660 West Coast Edition. This is the second saw that I've purchased in my lifetime, the first one being the Stihl MS 361. I wanted a bigger saw. I wanted something that was going to be fast, powerful, and so the 660 was the top of the list for me on what I wanted. And it's really a great saw. Some perks about this saw over your traditional 660 is this is a West Coast edition, so this has got a wrap handle, and it's also got an oversized oiler than compared to the other regular style 660s, and that's so that it can run a longer bar more comfortably. It can supply the oil to a longer bar all day long without issue. Some other benefits that I really like about this saw at the time, this was not normal on the smaller saws, is Stihl had widely gone to the toolless fuel and oil caps. That's the kind where you turn it, it's a cam, locks it into the tank, you flip it down. While those are nice if you don't like tools, I really don't like those because sometimes you think you got the lid latched and then it's not, and then you spill your oil or your gas all over yourself. So this had the original, call it vintage style cap, which I really like. This saw has the ability to run a 36-inch bar. It'll do that very comfortably all day long, and it's made in Germany. I really like to use this size saw whenever I'm cutting up the trunk of a tree, especially cutting off the stump and then bucking up the trunk of it all the way up to where the limbs start. If you were to look at one of these trees back here, that large white oak right there, if I was to cut that into firewood, I would use this saw all the way up to about there on that first branch, and then I would transition to something smaller and lighter. The other thing I really like about this 660 is it's got these two large sets of dogs on here, and that really helps cut into bark of a tree, and then I can really pull the saw in, so I'm not having to push on the saw. I can just simply tip into it, and it really helps the saw eat. All right, the few things that I really don't like about this saw, and you really have to look for things that you don't like about a Stihl chainsaw, but if we had to name a few, shortly after I bought this saw, I had another opportunity come up to buy a used 066 red light that I bought for about $400, which compared to this saw when I bought it was about $1,200. So there was a huge price difference there. And what I noticed was this saw seems to weigh more than the 066. In fact, we might have to just go put it on the scale just to see what the power head difference is. But this saw is just a little bit heavier, and compared to the 066, it seems like this has just a little bit less power and torque capabilities on the low end versus the 066 red light. The other thing that I don't absolutely love, that I thought I would love because that's what I bought, is this wrap handle. The wrap handle actually is kind of in the way whenever you're trying to cut off truly really close to the ground. If you're just cutting a tree down and you're fine with a stump sticking up out of the ground, this is no problem. But if you were wanting to like really get it a manicured look out in the woods, or you're in somebody's yard trying to get something as close to the ground as possible, this would not be your saw of choice. The other thing that, and this is just a minor detail, but it's got this mud flap right here, and this mud flap makes all the saw shavings go right down to the ground, and it doesn't rooster tail out the back like you'd really want when you're really cutting a lot of wood. It's fun to see that stream of saw chips go behind you in a rooster tail fan style manner. You're probably asking, well, why don't you just take it off? Well, I'm trying to keep this saw completely stock because I view this as my lifetime saw that I'm going to have for hopefully my whole life. And so I'm just trying to keep it as the engineers designed it at Stihl, without modification, so that it will last as long as it should last. I really like Stihl products. I think they make a super high quality product. It's very durable, requires very low maintenance, if no maintenance at all. And I would say I would recommend this saw to somebody over and over again, as long as, let's think about this a little bit. I would recommend this saw to somebody if they met a few criteria. One, they regularly cut large trees. And I would say you're really gonna start to appreciate the saw's power when you're cutting a tree that's probably 28 inches in diameter or larger. Under that, you could probably get away with a slightly smaller saw. But the second big criteria, and this is an important one, is if you want this saw, just go get it. You're not gonna regret it.